So good morning, everybody, and welcome to a very special press conference here at the Crypto Data Motorrad Grand Prix von Österreich. First of all, a reminder for everyone, please make sure your phones are switched off or on silent. And it's my pleasure to welcome FIM President Jorge Viegas in the middle and Dorna Sports CEO Carmelo Ezpeleta and Hervé Poncharal, the President of IRTA, to this very special press conference. And I believe Mr. Ezpeleta will begin in explaining why we are here and a very exciting announcement that we have for MotoGP going forward.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everybody. Well, you know, we has been the aim of the championship, FIM, IRTA and Dorna, from the beginning to try to improve every time as much as we can everything, the sport, the safety, the show, everything. Then we are working in all the areas, but especially in that, we think we have been looking all other sports, different possibilities, and we are trying to accommodate ourselves to offer better show, especially for the fans, and this includes the promoters and the televisions. And it's very important to us to offer a new schedule who will, in our opinion, to improve our presence in all the Grand Prix. This has been something discussed, obviously, with the FIM, with the manufacturers, and with the teams. And then yesterday, I talked with the riders in the safety commissions, even if the safety commission is for safety, but since the beginning we have been very proud to talk with the riders about different things. Obviously, the matter to inform the riders is something that must be made by each individual teams, but yesterday we have some discussions, and I'm very, very happy to leave to the President of the FIM to announce what we want to announce today. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmelo. Maybe we should ask you to come here and we come there and you tell us what we are going to announce. It's easier. But the fact is that, as I read in the social media, this is a sprint press conference. So this is true. You already know that we are going to introduce, starting next year, a sprint race on the Saturday afternoon in every Grand Prix. Not like in Formula One, in every Grand Prix. We think that after 2 years of COVID, that all of us, we made incredible sacrifices to keep having this so important championship. It's time to give more exposure, as Carmelo said, in the TV, but also to the spectators. We need more spectators, we need a better show, and we need to fulfill the Saturdays. So there are some details that are still to be decided, together with the teams, together with the riders, together with the manufacturers. But in principle, you already announced the major part of the new things. The only thing I think you are still in doubt is that this sprint race will not count for the grid. The grid is defined by the practice, by the qualifying, okay? So basically, we are open to almost all questions. Please.
I think, Hervé, do you have anything to add from the team side first?
Yes, you know, back from the summer break, we had, of course, a very important meeting together with Mike Trumby to represent the teams as IRTA, with Carmelo and Carlos Ezpeleta. And this was the really first time we saw the project. And from the very beginning, we liked it a lot. As both Carmelo and Jorge said, I think, and no, they didn't say that, I'm going to say that, if you don't move forward, you make a step backwards, I think. And although our show is great, maybe the best on earth, but that doesn't mean we cannot have room for improvement. And there is room for improvement. As Carmelo said to us also, yes, we look at what is happening somewhere else. And we should be stupid not to look at what is happening somewhere else and work somewhere else. from the very first point, I really liked. We had a meeting with all our colleagues, independent MotoGP teams, and unanimously they supported, and they liked it a lot, thinking that it's going to help also the team's business, because the media, I'm quite sure, will like it a lot and will love it. The sponsors, if the media are more active, will like it a lot. So all I can say is we have in mind not to create an inflation. So therefore, engine allocation, tire allocation will remain the same. Mileage on the whole weekend will remain more or less the same. So there will be no more track action. We will try not to give more work to the riders, but there will be more action, more excitement, which is what is MotoGP all about. So I'm very proud to be part of the championship, to have Carmelo and Jorge next to me announcing this important news. For sure, as Jorge said, there is still a few things to be fine-tuned. We always listen to everybody's, and when it is something which is feasible and clearly an improvement, we will adapt ourselves. But overall, I think this is an important day for MotoGP, and I believe 2023 will be even more exciting, not only because there will be gas, but also because there will be a new format. That's
Okay, thank you very much to all of you, and I'm sure we will have very many questions from the floor. So I'll pass over to our journalist present here.
Simon Patterson from the race. A question to all three of you, or to whichever of you would like to answer it. There's obviously been sort of increasing criticism of the series, some aspects of the series in recent years, especially around things like overtaking. Is this the start of a bigger change that we're going to see, also regarding things like aerodynamics and the ride height devices, which a lot of people think are detracting from the quality of the racing? And then secondly, I think quite a few of the riders were surprised at the announcement, basically finding out about it from the media yesterday and not from yourselves. Was there a reason for the decision to not inform them till so late?
Well, in any case, aerodynamics and other things is a matter of discussions. We have been discussing that many times. It's an existing situation where we sign an agreement with the manufacturers to maintain the stability of the technical rules during the period of the signature. Then it's valid until 26. Just if a unanimous position of all the manufacturers apply to any kind of change, we can consider that. At the moment, obviously, we have in some discussions. We are even starting the discussions for the technical rules for the next period, and this is in discussion, but it's nothing to do. In one side is we consider the existing two as races as incredible good. Then the rest of the things, if it's overtakens or not overtakens, is a personal opinion of everybody. The shows are interested, and we continue with the same show today. If in the future we can improve everything, we will improve. But it is important to maintain the stability of the rules, because this is something who has been requested and is in the contract between the championship and the manufacturers. That is that. And second, the opinion of the riders. The riders must be informed by their contractors, who are the teams, the independent teams and manufacturer teams. Some of them informed or not. My obligation, and the behavior has been like that from the beginning of the Grand Prix Commission and the Safety Commission, has been to talk. We talked before about the safety or any individual circuit, and later about safety in general. And it was my obligation, and knowing today is the press announcement, and knowing that some of the riders was not informed, I informed to them yesterday. But really, the people who need to inform about the changes in the championship, which when this is possible, they are the teams. Then we are very proud. The discussions yesterday in the Safety Commission was not bad. Then we share different opinions, and we will consider different opinions. For that, the president of the FIM announced that we are announcing today clearly there will be a Saturday race, sprint race. and this race will not valid for the grid of the Sunday race. The rest, we need to consolidate, because also one thing that is important, this new schedule will permit to us to have the riders more times to be attending to the media and to the spectators on site. Then it's a general things to improve the visibility of the championship.
Maddie Scottia, Motorcycle Sports. 2 questions for Carmelo. Did the fan survey support this finding in introducing racing sprint races on a Saturday? And if it did, can we expect any other changes out of that survey for the sport going forward?
Well, the teams, we talk with the manufacturers in Silverstone and with the team, and we talk about different people. Yes, in principle, all the manufacturers and all the teams are in favor of the idea. Then the setup of the idea is something we will discuss. But in general, we didn't have any of the 5 manufacturers and the 6 independent teams who are against of the proposal. The opposite, as Hervé said, all of them are completely in favor.
Paolo Ianieri, Gazzetta dello Sport. The riders yesterday, some were very much in favor of it, some were against it. And some of them were issuing some safety also, somehow saying that it's going to be too much, making 2 races all the weekends. It's going to be also physically, mentally more stressful. And this is why there were some of them were complaining that they were not informed before to discuss with FIM and Dorna about this. Well,
in fact, I think it's not any other championship than the rider. The actors has more informed about that and more really connected with the championship. Of course, yesterday because honestly I was thinking that I was confirming something that has been already informed by the teams, by the manufacturers and the independent teams. Some of the teams already informed to his riders, somebody no. In any case, it is controversial, but as you say, the people are in favor, the people are not. All the questions are interested, and we will consider that. But this is normal in any of the changes we make. A lot of changes since the beginning of the championship, and always has been controversial. Then I will be surprised if it's not controversial, and I hope to arrive to the best consensus. Many times, riders are thinking about themselves, and they are looking for different positions. I saw very different positions about different riders when they are managing one bike or the other. Then all the opinion it's important, but it's our duty to consider who is saying that and for what they are saying that. But of course, it's very important to have the opinion of the riders.
Just let me tell you one thing. Don't forget that in Superbike we have 3 races in one weekend. And maybe in the beginning there was the same, some riders were in opposition, but then when they get used to this rhythm, I think they will enjoy, because if we have 21 Grand Prix, as it was foreseen this year, we will have 42 departures, 42 podiums. This is an incredible exposure and an incredible show for the spectators. And we have to move. As Hervé said, if we don't move, we go in the back of the motorsports, and we don't want that. We are the best motorsport.
If I just can add something, because the teams were quite under pressure following your questions. First, a lot of teams don't have direct access to their riders because they are going to change riders. And second, you cannot ask to keep highly confidential something and tell every details before the official announcement, because then there is no official announcement.
They know everything already.
So you know, this is something also you have to take into consideration, but we have informed as much as possible that there will be some changes. The spirit of the sprint race. Jorge just explained that in some other championship you already have sprint races and even more races per weekend. Okay, maybe the overall calendar is less, but as we are all the 3 of us explaining you, this is the base of what's going to be 2023. But we are still fine-tuning quite a few things, listening to the riders' opinion, which is not unanimous, the riders' opinion, because, as Carmelo said, there are some who are very, very hot and very, very happy, and some other that are a bit less happy. So this is part of life, and to be unanimous is not maybe always easy, and I don't know if it reflects the real life sometimes.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Frank Weying from Ziggo Sports in the Netherlands. I have a question for Hervé, actually a couple of questions, Hervé. You, as a team manager, could you tell us when you informed your riders about what was going to happen? And also, many riders that we talked to were disappointed that they heard it through the media. And I'm sure that it's impossible to have a unanimous decision. But some riders also said that now is the time to unify as riders. Now, you are the president of the teams. Would you agree with the fact that riders need a union at the moment? Maybe this is a different discussion, but is following up what is happening now.
You know, riders' union is, I've heard that for decades, you know. And, you know, this is something you should ask the riders. I don't have to have any opinion about that. I think our championship, thanks to Dorna, is the championship where the riders are the most consulted, the most informed. I said quite a few times, remember 2003 Suzuka. Carmelo said, we will never come back here if we don't remove the wall. Everybody said to me, Carmelo will bend in front of the promoter pressure. We never went back there. So I think in this championship, we care about the riders more than any other championship. We inform them as much as we can. So, but as I said before, you know, the overall base of the project was clear for them. We didn't want to enter any details for the reason that then we don't have to have this press conference. You know, in between organization and anarchy, there is a limit. And I'm not saying this was being anarchy, maybe anarchy is too much. But I mean, you know, there are people, FIM, Dorna, who are running the show, who are here to make the show better. And this is what we are trying to do. Teams, riders, we are actors. And we are always consulted. But somebody's got to decide. When we switched to 2-stroke to 4-stroke, there was also some debate. And there were riders against, saying we're going to kill the spirit of the Grand Prix. But we moved on. So sometimes we need to move on. And there must be, you know, organizations that decide. And these organizations are FIM and Dorna. This is all I have to say. But if the riders want to unify, let them unify. But from what we heard yesterday, there is no unity at the moment.
Also, if I can say, if you are asking if it's a rider union, it's a rider union. It's the Grand Prix Commission. The Safety Commission is a rider union. Never in any sport the protagonist has the protagonist of they have in MotoGP. Then this is something maybe you take from the opinion of some of the riders and you create the necessity to talk about union. But I didn't see any rider talking to me about any necessity to create a union. The conversation yesterday was very good. We talk a lot, was frankly. We decided what we do, and we will consult. But this idea about the union, of course, I have not any opinion against that. But the reality is, today, the close relation with the riders, with the championship, is better than in any other association has been in other sport or similar sport in the world. Then this is something, honestly, it's an argument for the press, but it's not a reality.
In all due respect to Mr. Ezpeleta, there were riders who were talking about it.
Not to me, not to me.
Well,
yes,
to us journalists.
If they need to create something, they need to talk to me, not to you.
Well, if we journalists ask about
of the union.
With all due respect, if we journalists ask about it, and if
yes,
somebody...
This is the question. Do you think it's necessary to create a union? And then you are asking to somebody to say, no, yes, no. If the riders need something, they will tell to me, not to you. You are asking if they need a union, and the answer is whatever it is. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Niki Kovács from Nemzeti Sport Online and Motor Review Hungary. I would have two questions. First, I'm not sure whether Hervé or Jorge would like to answer. Hervé, you mentioned that the engine and the tires, the quantity will be the same. So do you have already the plan about the race distance and also whether to reduce, I don't know, one free practice, and I heard about also maybe removing the warm-up. And my other question is for Carmelo. Do you think this change, or you hope that this change will also help with the TV situation? Because in a lot of countries we can hear that with the pay TV, clearly the numbers are dropping quite a lot. So do you believe that this can be a solution also for that problem?
Definitively, yes. We talk with the television also, and all of them are absolutely in favor of this new format, yes.
Regarding the schedule, I think Carmelo is the better person to reply.
The announcement of the president is clear. The new announcement when it happens is when the schedule is completely finished. Now we have some ideas, and is what we are discussing with the actors, with the FIM, of course, with the teams and with the manufacturers, and of course the opinion of the riders, I hope will be interested through the teams.
Just one small answer. The length of the sprint race will be exactly half of the normal race, and the points will be half also. So yes. This is very easy.
This is already decided.
This is established.
And as I told you before, the target is not to create an inflation. So the global mileage on the whole weekend would be similar to what we have now. So in terms of cost and in terms of tiredness of the rider, that will change nothing.
David Emmett, Motor Matters. A question for you, Carmelo. I mean, first of all, let me start off by saying I like the idea of sprint race. I think it could be fun, but I don't understand what the problem is that this is supposed to solve. What is? Are you trying to get more fans in on a Saturday? Are you trying to help circuits? Are you trying to get more TV exposed? Are you trying to grow the sport? I don't see what you are trying to achieve with them.
What we want to achieve? Yeah, more interest of the championship, more interest from the fans, more interest to the people who will see two races in television, more interest to the people who attend on Saturday instead to attend just Sunday. We have we make a research that you already know, and we will have since we see first results, and practically the majority of the people are in favor of to have a sprint race, and the majority of the people are in favor that this sprint race is not counting for the grid of the race of Sunday. Then this is a result of that the goals to achieve are to have more interest of the championship in television, in the circuits, and in the general opinion of the way. This is the goal we are targeting.
David, and when you will see the full schedule, when it will be finally fixed, you will see that there will be so much more interaction in between public, media. So there is a lot more things on top of the sprint race, which is the main thing that you can see from the outside. But the interest is, and the idea is to shake up the format and to make it more exciting and to make it, again, more interacting in between you, the media, and between the fans. This is, but until we have the final schedule, frozen, we can't say too much.
So this is just a small
yes,
part,
yes,
yeah.
Yes.
And then, as I said,
you see the part of the iceberg which is above water. There is a lot underwater.
But you see that I think all of us, we agree that the most exciting part of the race is the departure. Yeah. So you double departures. And this will be incredible. Also because with half laps, it will be extremely exciting, these races, I'm sure.
Strategy will be different.
The strategy for these guys, the strategy will be different, of course, but it's what it is.
So it's not going to be, a carbon copy Saturday to Sunday. It could be very different, which is also very exciting.
Giovanni Zamagni, MotoGP from Italy. I wanted to know something about the points, for example, for the sprint race.
Half point. Half, exactly.
Okay, and about the grid is from qualifying practice, from the sprint race and for the normal race.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yes, that's easy to answer.
Hi, Dimitris Diatsilis from Cosmote TV. Of course, for TVs, it's a very exciting thing to have a second race on Saturday. Do you discuss with Michelin also the tire allocation? Because for the moment we've seen that the current tire allocation is not helping riders to perform as they need to perform. They are saving one soft for later, another soft for later. If it's changing, is the Michelin will help you to make a better tire allocation for these races?
We already discussed with Michelin, and we don't think it's necessary any better allocation. Then Michelin and us, we agree with the same tire allocation we have right now. We can do this new schedule. Then it's not necessary to make any new allocation.
And honestly, I don't see which problem we have right now with the tire allocation. We are quite happy with what we have. I never heard complaints. I don't know what you mentioned about the problems we are facing right now about the tire allocation.
That sometimes you, as a team manager, you need to say to your rider, okay, now we will not use this soft because maybe we need 2 softs for the race. In case that, as Carlos said, already next year it will be a new tire allocation. Yes. So with this new tire, you think that they will be covered?
Yeah, as Carmelo said, Michelin has been informed. Michelin shared their point of view. And you know, during the weekend, you want to have a fast lap, but you also want to prepare the race. Look at what happened in Silverstone. Some guys tried some tires that were maybe not fast enough for a quick lap. But for the second part of the race, they gain a huge advantage. And the people who didn't want to try that to focus on the one lap. So it's always a strategy. You have to you have to understand that you got 2 jobs during the race weekend. Have a fast lap to have a good qualifying position, but also prepare the race and have the information of how your tires are going to last for the whole distance. So, you know, the situation is good at the moment. And if you have 10 more soft, that will change nothing, create inflation, and prepare the race even less. So I think we've answered, and we don't have any real worried about tire allocation for 22 and 23.
Adam Wheeler from Paddock Pass Podcast. A question for Carmelo. This is obviously a very big change in the history of Grand Prix racing. World Superbike is also a Dorna property that's renowned for having multiple races. Are you slightly worried that it will be harder to differentiate the championships between the fans if we start having multiple races?
No. We think it's okay for both. The sprint races has been good in Superbike with different formats. Now we are happy with the format of Superbike. If in the future we need something to improve in Superbike, we will do it also. But we don't think the new format of the MotoGP will impact negatively or positively to Superbike. It's okay. We don't think it's any kind of damages for anybody.
Matt Oxley from Motorsport Magazine UK. A question for whoever wants to answer it, really. We all know that MotoGP is more risky, more dangerous than Formula One. We all know that most of the riders are riding with injuries all the time. They're struggling with injuries, either old injuries or new injuries. And I just kind of wonder whether, you know, MotoGP's got so much more intense in the last few years. In some ways, in a good way, you know, because it makes it more safe. So FP1 is like a qualifying session. FP2 is like a qualifying session. FP3 is like a qualifying session. Then you have Q2, Q1, and then you have Q2. If a rider's going, and I've had riders say to me that, you know, a qualifying lap is like losing one of their lives. You know, they are kind of absolutely at the limit, taking every risk possible. So I'm thinking of a rider who has to go through Q2, Q1, Q2, and the race on a Saturday afternoon. And I'm just kind of wondering when you think that we might actually reach the limit of requesting risk and so on from the riders. Does that ever kind of come into any of your minds?
Well, we as the President says, we are looking all other specialties, not just Formula One, and there are a lot of difference between Formula One and us. I agree that our sport is the risk is important, but we are not thinking we arrive to the limit. Superbike is just 1.5 seconds slower than this MotoGP, and the people are going well. Then we think always the challenge of the sport every time is hard. We try to accommodate that. We try to do the maximum we done. Obviously, it's more encouraging that than it was in the past, 20 years ago, the championship, and the world is changing a lot. Now we have demands of the people, and I am sure the riders can achieve this kind of things. We take consideration, but in any case, to be honest, we think we are. You think where we are riding limited? We are far away to the limit of squeeze anybody.
Hello, gentlemen. Mirko Colombi, Motosprint Italia. My question is, considering that in each race you will give points to riders, you will give a trophy too, and then in the future, when we look at the statistic, we will see, in the case, the double victory for each riders. So we considering the championship in a different way. This is my question. For example, Pecco Bagnaia win 2 times here, Saturday and Sunday.
We have 39 points.
Yeah, that's clear, but we count the double on. Okay.
You will have, see, if he wins both races, you will count 37 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay. But I just wanted to say something to his previous question. If we have always in our minds the limits of the riders, that's why we have this safety commission, where if we reach a point where the riders say we cannot go for all this so much time, so much laps in the limit, we will consider. You can be sure that for us, and I talk on behalf of FIM, but also on behalf of Dorna and IRTA, the safety of the riders comes first of everything. We need to improve our show because we want to be in the top of the audiences. Maybe you understand, because when you have good races, when you have real excitement, your media, newspapers or TVs, they sell much more. So this is what we want. We are all in the same boat. And we cannot stay behind. We have to improve, but again, always having in mind the safety of the riders. This you can be sure.
Hi, Mela Chércoles, Diario AS and Cadena SER. First of all, congratulations for the idea. I like. My question is the next one. This system is inspired on Formula One system or Superbike system. And the second question is that if can be a problem with the contract of the riders that they have signed now. Will they earn much money for next season with 2 races? They signed the contract thinking in a 1 race, no 2 races.
When you ask if it's Superbike or MotoGP or Formula One, it's not. It's MotoGP system. And second, regarding the contract signed by the riders is something individual between the riders and the team. They need to decide it.
What can say you, Hervé?
What you can tell me? What I can answer you? About what? About the contract or about the system?
About the contract. Contract of the riders.
The contract of my riders are still under negotiation. So
yes, no right.
You are the president. IRTA president.
Which is true. Which is true.
Don't tell me only like the
I think every single rider has a specific contract. Depends if you are an independent team rider and you're contracted by your team. It depends if you're an independent team rider contracted with your factory. Depends if you are a full factory rider. So many things are different. So to talk a MotoGP contract doesn't mean anything. If we have 24 riders, we have 24 different contracts almost, because each company is having his own way to set up the contract. Some are using points, some are using qualifying positions, some are using bonuses at the end of the season. So many things can be applied. So I cannot answer you because this has no meaning, You should ask case by case, and we will see. But I think, the MotoGP grid riders are having overall a good way of funding. They earn their life quite well. For sure. If the whole system is moving up, if we have more TV, more media, sponsors will become more and spend more. Everybody will benefit, as Jorge said. Everybody. This is a win-win situation. So we are on the same boat, and everybody should push the same direction. But I don't think anybody is left on the side of the road at the moment. So that will be taken into consideration, believe us. But you know, somebody needs to make the first step. So if I'm Dorna, make the first step by trying to have a more exciting weekend. Then we will see what is following afterwards. But first, let's have the system fixed, and it's not 100% fixed yet.
But I'm sure Hervé will not make contracts by points. That's for sure.
Yes. More bonus.
Sorry?
More bonus by points,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
example.
Ah, for sure.
It's not the moment to talk about what is, you know. But
Some riders tell me yesterday this situation.
yes, but some riders want to make a union. Some riders are happy. Some riders are unhappy. So we will talk to our riders, you know. But
in any
right
case, I don't know the contracts between the riders or that, but I imagine is the contract is to participate in the World Championship until the official schedule. Then, how many Grand Prix the riders sign? How many Grand Prix? I don't imagine anybody before the FIM present the calendar is knowing which number of Grand Prix we have later. Then, once the calendar is proposed, sorry, instead of the 19 is 20, can you pay me a 20 part or more? Then it's okay. It's nice to talk about that, but the riders has a contract to participate in the World Championship in the official format.
My newspaper pay me more if you put more race.
Good luck. You negotiate very well.
We spend much more money. We invest much more money in the World Championship when we have more races because we have to bring everybody here. So, also you. So your newspaper is Cadena Ser?
Diario AS and Cadena Ser, yes.
They have to pay you more. Sorry.
No, he already
For me, it's
obtained
good.
that.
I tell you that it's a good idea. I like it.
He's negotiated very well that.
Gianmaria Rosati, Motosprint Italy. I'm here. Yesterday, some riders, speaking about the sprint race, asked to maybe reduce the number of Grand Prix to be less stressful. Did you consider this idea?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No.
And the second question is, was the Superpole race in Superbike a first test thinking already to MotoGP, or it was a separate idea compared to this one? Thanks.
We continue with the idea with Q1, Q2, and in Superbike is one thing, another is other thing. There are some implications in television, so there are some implications in the time of exposure of the independent teams. There are many considerations, and taking care about what we want to achieve is what we arrived to this idea to do like that.
Srđan Erceg from Sport Club from Serbia. I have 3 questions actually, but they're relatively simple. The first one is regarding the number of Grand Prix victories. I think the gentleman from Motorsprint asked that. Will the sprint race be counted as a Grand Prix victory? Because that changes the statistics and the championship numbers. The second question is with regards to the expenses, because is this going to increase the expenses? Do you expect there to be an increase in expenses? And the third part is basically, what if, and I don't want that to happen, but what if it does not succeed in the goals in itself? Because I always plan for the worst, hope for the best. But what if it doesn't work?
Well, if doesn't work, we will study as we do everything. Everything we hope doing that in the best interest to do the things well. Yes. Obviously, if it's not working well, we will consider. Obviously, this has been making in everything. To be honest, from 1992 to now, if I remember well, all the changes made by the FIM and Dorna, not of them, and has been a lot, needs to be back. If I remember well, maybe I'm wrong, but all the changes we make pass from this exact question is what's happened when we introduce the 4 strokes, what's happened is don't work well, what's happened if they continue, well, said, okay, it's a risk we are taking, it's a risk. Well, Until now, all the decisions made by FIM and Dorna since 1992, and this is 30 years ago, not any of them has been necessary to be back. We changed a lot to improve. Then always the aim is to improve. If something is not work, obviously we will try to improve.
But answering to your question about the victories.
Yes.
I think we can better think about this, but I would say a victory is a victory. There's a podium, there's a race, so why not count?
Because it's half. I mean, the Grand Prix victory was like the premiere of premier races.
We'll think about your question.
Okay.
And the last thing about inflation, about cost.
Yes.
You know, I can tell you we are connected to the real world. We know what's happening in the real world. We know how the economy is. We know inflation is one of the big problems, you know, at the moment we are facing. And I don't see why you think it's going to cost more.
I don't think. I'm asking, do
No.
you think it's going to cost
We told you there will be the same mileage on the weekend. We don't change the tire allocation. We don't change the engine allocation. The manufacturers are supporting because also the manufacturers are very much worried about not creating inflation for creating inflation. What creates inflation could be the rider salary.
No, but you mentioned, but it was mentioned that there might be an increase in expenses, like previously.
Nobody.
I thought I heard you, then I misheard.
The target is to keep it as it is, more exciting for the same cost, best value for money. We are connected to the world.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think that is all of our questions from the floor. Thank you very much to all those who attended, and of course to Jorge Viegas, Carmelo, Ezpeleta, and Hervé Poncharal for your answers. If I can just finally ask you to stand for a photo, and then...
Please.
So thank you very much to everyone, and I'm sure we're all very much looking forward to 2023.